one of the development officers, the same as Donnie, SCQF, and I deal with the college ambassadors for the SCQF. So if after the meeting anyone is interested in becoming a college ambassador, I'll put my details in the chat and we can chat through that. Just really to thank you for attending today. It's a great effort, and thanks for everyone that's either hosting for us or attending. And I am going to try my best to monitor the hashtag. We've got a wee hashtag going called SCQF Counts, and SCQF and the C are all capitals. I'm going to try to keep monitoring the hashtag and keep the conversation going. So if there's anything you think has been said that is of, you would like to share with the general public because it's of great interest, then please do. We'd really like to see that type of engagement today. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you on to Jim Metcalf, CDN, who has kindly agreed to chair the meeting and keep things moving to time because we have quite a tight schedule today. So I'm going to pass you on to Jim, and thanks very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona and Donnie. Hello, everyone. If we've not met, my name's Jim. I'm the Chief Executive of something called CDN, College Development Network, and I'm a board member of SCQF. So I'm just helping out today, and I hope I don't get in the way and get between you and a fantastic session. So CDN is a college agency. It supports the college practitioners network that works with school college partnerships. We also, you may have seen it, we also published a bit of research just recently on co-creating the learner journey for school college partnerships, which was a big piece of work done over the last year with practitioners from across the school and college system and in local authorities on the scale and value and importance of school college partnerships and relationships. And I think if you've not seen that, I will put the link to it in the chat, but it's a useful bit of background. It was one of the original pieces of research that the Scottish education sector put together to submit to the OECD review and to the Curriculum and Assessment Board. So we put that together as a family, if you like, across the school and college system. And it told a very positive story about the scale of those relationships, the value of them to all parts of the system, and also the ambitions that we all have for the future. So this event coming along is a brilliant thing for me to participate in, to learn from today. We're going to have some great case studies and some great discussions. But also, before we get started, just a little thing from me. It is quite late in the day for me. It's been a long day. And so to keep this fresh for me, I'm going to need lots of questions. So our contributors today are going to be speaking for sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes of their slot, but they're going to need questions and prompts and challenges from you. So I'll just really emphasize throughout at any moment as they're speaking, and you think of a question or a contribution you want to make, put it into the chat. And between Donnie and Fiona and myself, we will draw those questions and comments and contributions out of the chat and put them to the speakers and presenters in the session. So it's really important to make this a live session for this hour if you do that. So please do, and I'd be delighted for your contributions. I'm not going to speak for much longer. I'm just here to introduce, and as I said, apparently keep us to time. I've kept us to be ahead of time so far, so I'm delighted to continue with that trend. So I'm going to start by handing over, if it's all right. I can see Helen's on my screen. Helen Young from Forth Valley College is going to speak with colleagues from Larbert High School. I think we've got John Reid and Karen Cullen from Larbert High School speaking as a group today to talk about the partnership in Forth Valley. Hi, Mrs. Cullen. I feel like I'm at parents' night with my P7 here. I'm feeling all nervous. I'll be well behaved, I promise. So if I can hand over to the three of you, if that's all right, to take us forward. And I remind everyone, keep posting those questions in the chat. Thanks, everyone.
Great, Jim, thanks very much. I'm just going to share my screen here. So if you can just give me the nod when that's all working okay. And bear with me because I'm probably sharing my desktop right now. Hopefully that's the presentation there. Great. Okay, everyone. So I'll just get that started just from the beginning there. So good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you all today. On this, I can't believe it's the 1st of November already, but there we go. It'll not be long till we get a Christmas break. So today I'm joined, my name is Helen Young, first of all. I'm Head of Learning and Quality at Forth Valley College. The clue really isn't in the title because a significant part of my role is overseeing our school college partnership delivery and portfolio. So with me today I have John Reid, who is the rector at Larbert High School, and also Karen Cullen, the deputy rector at Larbert High School as well. So today in our session, we'll have a look at the School-College Partnership in Forth Valley. I'll just give you the context of that in general, and then I'll pass over to Karen, who will talk about how Larbert High use the School-College Partnership really to influence the pathways that they have to improve positive destinations then for their young people. And hopefully we'll have a bit of time there for some question and answers. But again, there's the chat there, as Jim says anyway, so please feel free to put any questions in the chat. So the Forth Valley context then, we've got 3 local authorities, Falkirk, Clackmannanshire and Stirling. We've got 18 secondary schools, 3 supported secondary schools, and I think it's fair to say that all the schools in Forth Valley engaged with the School-College Partnership. We deliver in school as well as in our 3 college campuses. And I would say that probably one of the key elements of our success is the excellent relationship that we have between the college, the local authorities and all of our secondary schools in Forth Valley. So the story so far, so we do have a long-standing partnership between all our schools and colleges. This really outdates much of my time at the college. I've been there now in Forth Valley for 4 years. But when I arrived, it was already very well established, and it seems to be growing and evolving from year to year. And it's very exciting times still for us with the School-College Partnership portfolio. We have a really strong commitment to the School-College Partnership delivery within our overall college portfolio, and we're very keen to see the expansion of opportunities for our young people. We are, as a college, very responsive to the needs of the senior phase curriculum and to be able to expand the choices and progression routes for the young people whilst they're still at school and when they leave. And I suppose really, you know, our focus is on, you know, any decision that we do take with our school, with our portfolio, really is to make sure that, you know, the pathways work and flow through successfully. And I suppose in many ways the college is truly an extension of the senior phase delivery now within many of the schools that we work with. So I suppose this is probably very similar to many colleges' school partnership portfolios. This is really what the breadth of what we offer. You can see there we've got a bespoke programme at SCQF level 4 that's been going on for, it's actually a very successful programme that we've got. There's case studies online for this particular course, but it was developed really for young people who were really disengaging with school, who probably would end up at college at some point, but it might have taken them a bit longer possibly to get there. So that's hugely successful for these young people, because they normally then stay on with us for a school partnership programme or come to us full time. In the fullness of time. We offer city and guilds. We've got 10 of the level 6 foundation apprenticeship frameworks. We don't offer the financial services and food and drink, that's the 2 we don't offer, but everything else we do, mostly 2-year models, and now the 1-year models are starting to, I feel, take off. Now in the last couple of years there's definitely more demand there, and we offer the level 4 construction hospitality. We've got the skills for work courses, national progression awards or national certificates, hires, and the higher national certificates, which again are starting to increase in popularity across the local authorities that we serve. So the breadth of the partnership, it's not really just about, you know, I mean, there's a lot happening here, you know, with the schools. It's not just about, you know, the delivery that we can offer, which includes the consortia delivery. There's bespoke delivery within many of our schools. We tend to use each other's knowledge and expertise on a regular basis. We offer teacher CPD and teacher takeover days, where we bring in pupils and teachers into the college to visit the departments, really get an understanding of different sectors and promote our courses. And we run competitions as well. I mean, that's just a small snapshot of, you know, what we do with the schools. So it really is much wider than the actual delivery itself, and is of huge benefit to the college staff as well as it is to our schools as well. So this is an example of excellent work in practice that we had back in 2019 before the pandemic struck. We had representation from all 18 secondary schools who engaged with the mainstream school partnership portfolio. We had, my goodness, it was we were able to put everybody in different tables, and I think every table was represented by somebody from each local authority, and we matched that by about 30-40 staff from the college as well. So we got together, we spent the day talking about timetabling, progress reporting, all the usual challenges that we all face, transitions information, how to get the best out of that, and evaluation and reflection on school college partnerships. So it was a really excellent day. We've never done anything like this before, and hopefully we can pick up on that again at some point down the line. That was always the intention. We would do this a year after, but unfortunately we never got around to doing that. So we're probably due another catch up there as well. So I suppose in terms of me wrapping up just with the context, I thought it was useful maybe to look at just how things are shaping up for us in terms of the future. It's still a very exciting time, as I've said already, for school college partnership. There's such a huge demand and such a benefit, that we've got, with our school partnership portfolio and the opportunities for the young people. But what we're trending to find now is that there are more schools interested in incorporating HNCs into the portfolio, and this includes now fast track models, completing HNCs now in 1 year. As I've said already, the foundation apprenticeships, there's more demands now coming our way for the 1 year models. These seem to be working much better. Again, we've got more opportunities now to deliver as we work with schools and put on bespoke courses for schools. We tend to find now we're moving away from the traditional Tuesday, Thursday afternoon, the Monday, Wednesday, to different delivery slots, which is excellent to see. Obviously, a lot more coordination is required there, but that seems to be the trend, the way things are moving. Again, just a continual review and enhancement of the portfolio and the learner journey in line with the schools. The learner journey is just so relevant, and we just need to keep checking and making sure that the pathways are correct. And I suppose really a focus for us is just ensuring that meta skills, sustainability and the digital skills development is really incorporated thoroughly into the curriculum delivery. So this aligns itself with the full-time college curriculum. And I suppose it's really just making sure that we're working, and it's happening more, but working strategically together, the schools and the college, to make sure that we're giving the young people the right skills really to take up employment then within the local region as well. So that's really where we're at Forth Valley. I'm sure at some point in the future I've no problem coming back and talking about more specifics, but just that's the general overview of where we're at the minute. So what I'm going to do is I will stop presenting and pass over to Karen for a more detailed look then at what happens at Larbert High School with the school partnership portfolio. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Helen. It's actually John. You're going to pass over to first. I know it's fine.
Sorry,
I'm
John.
going to pass over to.
Apologies.
Pass over to Karen. No,
Thank
not
you.
at all. So yeah, I will just share my screen if you can. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. John Reid here, head teacher at Larbert High School, one of 8 secondary schools within Falkirk, and also I'm the link head teacher between, or the main link head teacher between all of the head teachers and the college in terms of planning our provision. I suppose there are two main points I'd like to say before I go into some of the finer detail. The reason that we are very keen on promoting the school college partnership at Larbert High School and across Falkirk is really because of the impact we want to make on our positive destinations. We are below the national and the virtual comparators of where we should be, and so anything we can do to try and sort that and increase the number of pathways for our young people is really, really important. And the second point I would make is we haven't arrived at this just naturally. It just hasn't happened. There's been a lot of hard work and a lot of thought that has gone into this, and all of my pupils intended destinations are known by their pupil support teacher, and so a lot of this work is targeted. So we go to pupils and we promote the partnership and promote the opportunities that exist. We don't just put college as an option on the course choice sheet because it's not as successful. We find that a far more targeted approach is what's really beneficial. Now, it's been an evolution as well. We have a very good relationship, as Helen has described, with the team at the college. And so every year for, as long as I can remember, we have sat down and we have discussed what the offer for the following year is going to be and what it's going to look like. And we've refreshed that year after year. And when I think about what it looks like now compared to what it looked like 5 years ago, it's night and day. So we have kind of stopped duplicating stuff that schools could easily be providing for themselves, and we are doing things that schools would traditionally find more difficult because we don't have the facilities or we don't have the expertise to deliver it. So it's a very refreshed offer in terms of what the kids get in front of them to choose from. The other important factor I would say is that we have aligned our timetables across Falkirk. Now, that was a step we took 2 years ago and was absolutely fundamental to the delivery of all of our programmes. It took less pressure, or it placed less pressure on the college to deliver everything on a Tuesday, Thursday afternoon, and it's provided far greater flexibility in terms of the delivery of foundation apprenticeships, particularly in terms of the work placements and in 1 year fast track courses. Now, that wasn't easy to do. That meant that schools had to compromise sometimes what they would traditionally do. We haven't been as tight in that as some authorities have been, because I know some authorities start, at the same time. They all start at 8:45 and everybody goes on till 4:45 and everybody has the same lunch break. We haven't done that, but we have aligned all of our columns in order to facilitate the different delivery patterns. So it means that we don't just have college courses running on a Tuesday, Thursday afternoon. They run all the way through the week, and importantly, it does not disrupt the other subjects that are on a young person's timetable, so they can still do their college course without missing out bits of their other courses. And what that's resulted in is an increased uptake overall, and the graph that you see there is the uptake, or the percentage of senior phase pupils in each school who have a college course as part of their senior phase curriculum. In 2018, that's the light colour, and in 2020 is the darker colour. And what you can see is in 6 out of the 8 schools it has increased, and in some schools it's increased significantly. So it's a big part of our senior phase delivery across Falkirk and across Forth Valley. Now, we've tried to do a number of things about it, and I'm just going to touch on this before I hand over to Karen. But one of the things that I was really keen to do, and that the other head teachers in Falkirk were very keen to do, is to redefine level 7 learning and to move away from the traditional kind of advanced hires. You do your Nat 5 and your higher, and then you do your advanced hire, and to try to look at more flexible pathways with perhaps doing some level 7 learning over S5 and S6, or at times there is the 1 year level 7 stuff happening as well. But at the moment in Larbert High, and again across Falkirk schools, we run 5 different HNCs, and we do those for a variety of different reasons. In terms of our HNC computing, that completely replaces any provision that we have got in our computing department here in Larbert High. We've kind of industrialised the pathways there for a variety of different reasons, but being really upfront and honest, we couldn't get computing teachers to deliver the traditional stuff. So we had a look at how are we going to keep going with that subject, and so we have a variety of foundation apprenticeships in software and in hardware offered to our 4th years and 5th years, and some of our 5th years and 6th years moving on to do their HNC in computing, and that's been really, really successful. The HNC in Applied Biological Sciences, yep, we deliver that over 1 year. It takes up 2 and a bit columns, but because of the alignment that we have in the columns, it doesn't disrupt the other subjects that the that the pupils are doing. And then we have HNC Sports Coaching and Development, which again serves a completely different purpose. That's about taking young people who might not be able to achieve a level 7 in terms of traditional advanced hires and so on, but who have nothing else to progress onto in terms of their health and wellbeing pathways, and it's about giving them an opportunity to extend their learning. So each of those HNCs are used for a variety of different purposes, and again, it's evolved over the years to get to that point there, and we want to continue down that road because it's paying real benefits and real success for the young people that are involved. And Karen is just going to give us an overview just now of the other SCQF levels that we offer in partnership with the college.
Thanks, John. Yeah, so essentially my role is, you know, very much the day-to-day, the logistics, and really building the relationships with Forth Valley College, but also the lecturers. And I think that's something that's really taken years of work, where I think that we've got an excellent relationship. And actually, when I first took on the role to work with college, I think we had 11 different courses that we worked with. And now over the last 3 years, we're now up to 25. And what you can see on the diagram in front of you is actually that we've tried to make sure that there is clear progression that moves from level 4 learning, which includes the Scots programme that Helen was talking about earlier, which is really scaffolded and supported for the more kind of vulnerable pupils that we want to get into college that just need that little bit of help. That includes City and Guilds, hair and makeup, right to level 5, which includes, you know, NPAs, skills for work, and now level 5 hospitality that is actually we do in-house. So the lecturers come to our school to take on the FA hospitality right up to level 6. And obviously you can see there that the level 6 is actually almost half of the courses that we do. So that is of course the level 6 foundation apprenticeships that we really do promote and we value at Larbert High School. And I think that's been certainly something that I really think that is an excellent opportunity for the young people, and we've really driven that through, you know, as John said, we target those pupils, we target the parents, we have information sessions specifically on that tag on to parents' evening, and we send them letters individually to invite them to those information sessions to really try and change mindsets. And as much as my job is the day-to-day and the logistics and buses and things like that, all the fun things, actually a huge part of my job is to change the mindsets of not only the pupils but the members of staff within our school, the lecturers as well at Forth Valley College play a big part in changing their mindsets and helping them understand that, you know, they're pupils and they're not adults, but also the parents as well. And as John says, we've really, you know, started to develop our level 7 learning as well. So, you know, we've gone from, as I say, 11 courses across kind of more level 5 learning to now 25 from level 4 right up to level 7. So there's clear progression there. And I think a lot of that is due to really the relationships that we've built and working together and say, look, what's going well, what's not going well, how do we improve this, and what's right for our students. So yeah, it's great, and actually we've got over 200 students now attending Forth Valley College, so it's just incredible. And that's our story.
It is.
Brilliant.
Lots more detail, but that's the headlines.
Well, thank you all. That was fantastic. Tour de force in 20 minutes, beautifully timed as well, without any interventions. Thank you so much. If maybe you could just de-share the screen, that would be good. Then other people can. Thanks very much. So as we said earlier on, there are a few minutes now. If anybody wants to pose any questions, there are some questions for the three of you that are more about can people access resources that you may have in the chat. So I don't think they're necessarily ones you need to answer out loud. But I mean, if people want to pose a question, now is a great time to do so. Oh, Aileen Ponton, as if on cue, has chipped in with a question. What would you identify as the 2 biggest benefits to pupils for SCP? So I think we're going to put those to colleagues from Larbert, if that's all right. So your biggest benefits, that was the biggest clear benefits that you would see from collaboration with the college for pupils and learners.
Okay. Certainly. Sorry, John, do you want to go?
No, you go, Karen. You go.
I mean, I think there's several benefits, and obviously one of the main things is starting to really bridge that gap between school and becoming an adult and taking ownership of their own learning. But certainly with the foundation apprenticeships, I mean, the work placement has been invaluable to help, and because obviously one of the things that employers have said is that our pupils lack this necessary skills to go into the world of work and be successful. So I think that the pupils have absolutely benefited from that. I know that COVID has obviously upset that slightly, but it was, the trajectory was, you know, it was moving up, it was positive, and the feedback from the pupils that have been on placement, they've matured and benefited from that so much, and a lot of them have actually ended up with a modern apprenticeship off the back of their foundation apprenticeship.
And what I would add to that is that I think it's the range of courses that we're able to extend what we offer to young people that we might not have been able to offer before, and also how they then lead to progression and different articulation routes. So the HNC in Applied Biological Sciences leading into the HND programme, leading into the integrated degree arrangements that Forth Valley College have with University of Stirling, whereas some of the young people who are doing that wouldn't have naturally progressed on to further or higher education, so it's influencing their destination. And I think also offering courses that young people can access, studied and assessed in a different way, which is all very relevant at the moment. And what we're seeing is they're able to access courses at a higher SCQF level than what we previously might have otherwise seen. So if we think about the HNC sports coaching, they're at SCQF level 7. Some of those young people would really have struggled doing advanced higher PE, for instance. However, they are managing that because of the different methods of delivery and the different way of assessing that, and again, the progression pathways that opens up for them. So for me, it's the range of courses and pushing young people to higher SCQF levels than what we might have expected.
Thank you, John. That's great. Maybe, Helen, if I come to you with another one of the questions we've got in the chat here. How willing were college lecturers to slot into a school timetable rather than a standard Tuesday, Thursday model? So how flexible were they? How did that go at the college end?
It's going really well. So I suppose really with enough notice, then our curriculum managers are able to timetable really to whatever the school's looking for. So there's been no issues there at all. Lecturers are more than happy to go into our schools to deliver as well. I mean, there's so many instances of this happening right across Forth Valley. So yeah, it's gone well. We expect more demand for off the consortia afternoons for next year as well. So we're just preparing for that. So really, as long as we've got enough notice, you know, we can deliver on any day.
Great, thank you for that. I'm actually going to thank you all because I'm really sure we've got to the end of our time. Now, if I could ask the three of you for a favour, which is that we have more questions in the chat. So if as the next speakers are on, if it's okay with you, you have a quick look at the questions that I've not got a response to. Maybe if you've got anything to post, I'd be really grateful so everyone gets an answer. But for now, Helen, John, Karen, thank you for that brilliant session. You make it look and sound easy, but we all know it isn't. So I think a lot of people are very impressed, and you can see questions flooding in. So apologies also for participants who didn't get their answers, but I'm hopeful people might be able to add those in the chat. Also, just a moment to say thank you to all of you, and a thank you to all of you for attending as well. People have been flooding in, and I think an extraordinarily high number of sign-ups have actually attended this session, which I think is testament to how good a session it is and how good an agenda. So I think we've got like 3/4 or more of everyone that said they might pop along who are here and they're wrapped and participating. So thanks to all of you as well. So moving along the Forth a little bit and then up, we're going to go into Fife, as we always should. And I'm going to hand over now to, I've got Iain Hawker, I think. Iain, you around somewhere? Iain, yep. I've got John Elliot, also Head of Enterprise at Fife College. And I've got Alan Cumming from Glenrothes High School. Good to see you, Alan, as well. So we're delighted to hear about your story and your case study, and the same rules apply, everyone. Questions as you think of them in the chat, and I will make sure they're posed at the end. So Iain, can I hand over to you first and then you'll steer the group? Is that okay?
That's fine, Jim, and
Brilliant.
Thank you very much for that, and thank you, Helen, and the group there from Forth Valley. Interesting to hear what we've heard there, and some really good practice there, and I've actually made some notes, and we might steal some ideas for over here in Fife. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Iain Hawker, Assistant Principal at Fife College for Quality and Academic Partnerships, and School-College Partnerships are one of the subcomponents of my area. Here in Fife, we work very closely and very well with Fife Council and the 18 secondary schools here in Fife. And last year in our School-College Partnership provision, we enrolled over 1,100 school pupils as part of our mainstream S3 to S6 and senior phase provision, which included about 80 School-College Partnership courses, and they include courses from SCQF level 4, up to our HNCs at level 7 as well. And we deliver 10 of the 12 FA frameworks in Fife. A lot of provision is done in the school, and our staff will go out and deliver in the school. We also have the provision where the school pupils will visit one of our 5 college campuses here in Fife. And what you're going to hear about this afternoon is about the integration. So it's not about college staff delivering college curriculum and school staff delivering school curriculum, but what we've come up with in Fife is about that integration and looking at the SCQF, the qualifications on that SCQF, what the college can deliver, what the school already deliver potentially, and by looking and taking a step back at co-design and co-delivery, how we can integrate some of these qualifications. So at the end of the day, the young person, that school pupil, we can maximise what they get in their certificate, the skills they'll need to actually go on to study further, or indeed go on to the world of work. So as Jim mentioned, I've got John Elliot from Fife College, and we've got Alan Cummings from Glenrothes High School. I'm going to hand over to the 2 gents to continue and tell you the story about that here at Fife.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've just quickly got a wee PowerPoint to share here with you, so I can talk over it as well. So bear with me a minute and I'll see if this actually works correctly. Can you all see the PowerPoint I've put up? Can you see that, Iain? Excellent. Yeah. Okay, so just give you a little bit of background to this. The scenario came around a few years ago where we were looking to increase our provision in business studies within the school, and we worked with Fife College, who essentially delivered most of our senior phase business. So a little bit like Larbert were saying there with computing, they were struggling to get computing teachers. We had a short-term problem in business, so we worked with Fife College, and John and I, who you'll hear from in a moment or two, were 2 people who are really keen to see how could we make a school-college partnership work. And we spent a lot of time sitting around the table, really brainstorming around how could we make this different? What different experience could we have got? I've got a unique opportunity here. How could we make it different for the young people? And how could we get a better outcome for them? So really the first real lesson we learned from that was the massive increase in the amount of qualifications we were giving our young people. So before this happened, a young person would maybe get a qualification, either National 5 or higher in business management, or they may get a National 5 or higher in administration and ICT. It's now the case that the school, when a young person goes through these, if they're doing admin, they automatically get PC passport on the back of that 90% of the time. And likewise, business, if they're also doing the admin, they get the business and ICT NPA at level 5 or level 6 as well. So there's a lot more qualifications coming from that. And that really started a journey within our school around about different qualifications, and a little bit like Larbert were describing there, and it's not just levels qualifications at the same level, it's going beyond that, and we started to look at HNCs and so on as well. So for example, we had a young person, or 2 young people, and to give you a context, Glenrothes High School's got about 800 pupils, so in Fife terms it's quite a small school. And in that year in particular, we presented 189 out of, I think it was about 860 presentations for the School College Partnership. So it gives you an idea of the size it was. But one of the issues we had at our school in Glenrothes High School was actually progression onto level 7 courses was often quite tough, because you would get 2 or 3 young people wanting to do one subject. And that link with Fife College really opened up the opportunity to much more relevant courses and much more adequate courses. So for example, I had 2 young people who wanted to do law at university. So what we did is we coursed them in for 2 days a week into Fife College to do an HNC in legal services, but at the same time they stayed at Glenrothes High School and did advanced higher English. So they got a really good preparation for going away to university to do law. And it also gave them the opportunity, and it gave them the idea that they didn't also need to necessarily leave home to go to university to do a qualification and work through a degree programme. They could also take the route to Fife College as well. A little bit like Larbert as well, we very much because of the scenario we're in, the lecturers came into Glenrothes High School and delivered the course. And what was so brilliant about that was it was the the opportunity for young people to form different kinds of relationships. They weren't necessarily working with teachers, they were working with college lecturers who were able to share with them what their pathways would look like if they were to go through college. They were able to share with them the different kinds of learning that the college had, and they were able to talk very articulately about what that progression and pathway might look for them, look like for them. And we had some young people at the end of it who were leaving school without necessarily having hires, but having 3 or 4 level 6 qualifications, which again, given that 40% of our young people went into the college sector, was a great success, and they were still able to follow that pathway. So instead of doing level 5s at school, then going to do a level 5 qualification at college, they were going straight onto their level 6. And I think the legacy that it's left is that real breakthrough for us and working with the college and getting much more. When I came into post in 2014, there was 3 young people doing school college partnership courses. We're now into the hundreds, which is great, pardon me, great progress. But particularly in the business aspect, we are now looking at young people who do business and IT. Can we also get them the unit in contemporary business issues? Because that gives them an MPA in business skills as well. But more importantly, it leaves them one part short of getting their FA, which is the work experience. And I've since moved on to a slightly different job. But just before I finished up, I had the discussion with John about could we be looking at getting these young people through Fife College, their work experience aspect, allied alongside the learning that they do in school, and which would allow them to then get their foundation apprenticeship. So there's a real legacy left there, particularly in the business department, around about how we can move forward, but also across the school, the rest of the school and other departments across the authority are looking at Glenrothes High School and seeing what's going on, what's going well, how can we build upon that, how can we copy that, how can we get a bit of that pie almost. So there's been a lot of positives there, but I think at this point I'll pass over to John, who may elaborate on some of those points, but particularly from a college point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. I'll just share my screen as well. Hopefully you guys are seeing the Fife College logo here. Somebody just give me a wee nod. Yeah. I think there's always a benefit in going last, because so much I was going to say has been said, and I think right back to what Helen was saying about the great work that they're doing at Forth Valley, and there's an awful lot of that experiences in there. For me, I want to focus on what the benefits were from a college perspective. Now, never forget the first phone call I got from Alan, and it was like, John, can you deliver this curriculum? I'll be perfectly honest, and I think because of the successes, I can say this now, but we only had in our area, in our curriculum, we only had 9 students on the Schools College Partnership programmes a year before, which when you look back now was absolutely shocking. And a term that Alan used in the broad is, I'm always going, let's see if we can break the mould here. Let's see if we can do something different. And what I meant by breaking the mould is, let's not look at what we offer. Let's look at what the young people need and what we can do to support these young people. I think working with it gave us a far better understanding of the school curriculum and where the college could fit into there. And for us, I think that's vital when schools and colleges are working together. It's that close partnership relationship. Somebody asked earlier on in the chat, sorry Helen to steal your thunder, but what's the benefits of the students in there? Alan's already said that when we were co-delivering, and we still offer these to other schools, we embed National Progression Awards in their delivery. As a college, we've actually looked at our entry requirements for HNC and added in National Progression Awards at SCQF level 6. So we'll treat them equivalent to a higher in there, and that gives for us wider access to college. And to give you a little story on this, and it's probably one of the best clearing days I've had, but almost how uncomfortable I felt because of that. There was a young lady who had been learning with us at Glenrothes High School, and she didn't get all the hires that she wanted or she needed to get on to her HNC. But what she did have was a good hire and a National Progression Award. And that allowed that young lady to get onto the schools, to get onto the HNC. So when she came in, we also had a very distraught young lady who was so upset at not achieving a higher and thinking her career had been taken away from us. I think then it became slightly uncomfortable for the rest of us, because when she got on the course, it took us 10 minutes to actually, for a young lady to breathe properly then and stop crying. And it was so good to see 10 minutes of tears of joy. But for me, everything we do in Schools College Partnership, if we've got one of these every year, I think it's worth it. I tell you, that young lady's now is still with us. She's on her second year of HND and she's absolutely loving it. And we believe we've created that pathway for her and that extra pathway. Likewise, she might have given up. Alan talked about the confidence that we build in the learners as well. And when we were working with Alan and the school staff, it was a joint delivery. It was very much we were working together and combining on there where we could. But it was a young lady who was quite difficult in class. Was not engaging in class. She was stressed, and it was difficult for the school or the college to get to the background of it. And she had a conversation with the school one day and said, "I'm really worried about my exams. I'm not sure if I can do the exams." So through a joint conversation with the head of year at the school and our staff, and that young lady moved away from her hires to National Progression Awards. And she'd gone from probably being the least engaged pupil in the class to the most engaged. In fact, she was first finished through her National Progression Awards and still wanted to come back to class to work with the lecturer and the staff to support her classmates. And I think the transformation of that young lady was absolutely fantastic. And all we did was offered her a same level qualification, just in another mode of learning, another mode of assessment and examination. We noticed through as well there's an increased confidence in the learners as they come through college, because we've got such a strong partnership in the schools we work in, and we are a lot of the students welcome into college. They know how college works by then. They know the lecturers, so they're coming in with that air of confidence. I think we've removed some of the transition fear. Iain and Alan have both said this experience has allowed us to look at partnership pathways, and Alan does. Alan and I are both in different roles now, but we still have these conversations, and it's creating these partnership pathways through foundation apprenticeships. And we also had a discussion about earlier years, what can we offer at year 4 and year 5 that will allow that progression right through. The young ladies, we actually had 3 young ladies in the college who did HNC legal services, and we had a young lady who did HNC business. And I'm delighted to say I've heard from all the students who studied with us, and they said actually studying at college for a year when they were at school has given them a jump start at university. They're used to studying, they're actually sailing through their first year. So I think inspiring that confidence in them. I think for me, what it did, it really highlighted the need for flexibility, and it's been asked in the chat and it's been answered that I can add lecturers and staff happy to go in the non-schools college partnership days. Absolutely, as long as we can plan it. I think for me, I was lucky. I also, Iain might tell you, we had to look at quality procedures, and there was a lot of fast tracking of approvals for me to deliver these qualifications. And if Iain and the quality team hadn't been so flexible in there, and when I say flexible, allowing me to go through approval process quickly, and setting up these meetings and supporting that. And I had full support from the senior team at the college and the backing to do that. So I think they got used to me in that year phoning saying, "We've got another idea, can we do this?" Within the exam period, Alan had identified 25 pupils, I think it's 25, might be wrong, who may not be presented for the target hires or National Fives. Alan, was it 25?
Yeah, I think it was more than 25. I think it was more like 40 odd kids who were not due to sit any National 5 examinations. So back pre-COVID days, when youngsters used to get study leave, the kids that fell into this bracket didn't necessarily get study leave. So John and I found a course which is administrative activities, which allowed, and that the credit of that goes to John and his team, to be honest, and they came in and delivered that programme each morning over about 3 or 4 weeks, which gave the young people an extra level 4 qualification in administrative activities, but it also came with a level 4 in employability as well. So it actually really helped us for the target group of kids. We've all got them in schools who are maybe 5 at 3 or 5 at 4, who are maybe not going to leave with 5 qualifications. It gave them the opportunity to do that. But also these young people were young people who were likely to leave and go to college at some point or another. So it gave the young people the opportunity to work with the college and really get an insight into how those worked, but it also gave the college lecturers and the college staff an opportunity to say, look, this is what college is about, this is the transition. So as I talked earlier about, is what would the college experience look like, what would it feel like, how do the college lecturers operate, and they were then able to come into that. So for me, sorry John, I jumped in there a little bit, but it was a great benefit.
That's cool. That's cool. I'll just finish off. I think another benefit working so closely and using the different levels is it's been fantastic for our staff development in the college, for staff to work closely with school staff. And there's been a lot of learning in there and teaching practices, student support. And actually, these staff are now coming back as ambassadors, and they're in learning and skills that they've learned in the school, they're passing it on to their own colleagues. Everybody's talked about joint planning and delivery, but for me, one of the best things I think is it's improved communications, improved the networks within the schools. And I'd like to think now that the schools in Fife are not afraid to phone the college and say, can we do something different, or I've got this idea, can you support it? So I think we've slightly run over time there, so I'll wrap it up there.
It's been brilliant. Thanks all three of you. That's been going very nicely. I think people have taken a lot out of it from different perspectives, strategic, the very personal as well, but also about understanding the partnership. So if there are any more questions, feel free to chip them in now. We are quite close to the end of time. But what's been happening, guys, while you've been doing that presentation is that the last session had quite an active chat. So in the next 10 minutes, there may be questions coming in on that chat for you that you might want to pick up and respond to. It would be very much appreciated if you could. So, well, people are just saying it's absolutely inspirational. So that's a comment. I think we're going to take it as a great comment. So I think I would echo that on all our behalves. Thank you for recounting that story. So keep coming in with questions if you've got them. Be delighted to have them. But whilst those are percolating, I think we might, because we are quite tight to time, move on to Ollie. If Ollie's around, Ollie, are you there? Here's Ollie. Ollie Bray, Strategic Director of Education Scotland, and former, obviously, very experienced head teacher and education innovator. Ollie, great to have you. And I think you've got about, if this is right with you, about sort of 5 minutes for your comments, contributions, thoughts. We're looking to be guided and thought by for five inspiring minutes, please.
That's great. Well, I don't know how inspiring they'll be, but thanks for the introduction, Jim, and good evening, everybody. And if you're from an Aberdeenshire school, welcome to your first day back after the holidays. And for the rest of you that have been back for 1 or 2 weeks, I hope that you have a great term in the build up to Christmas. I've just been like frantically scribbling down for the last sort of 40 minutes. I've really enjoyed this session and hearing all the different examples. So I just really want to make a few remarks, if you like, and sort of try and draw some of these bits together, and hopefully it will be helpful. So in the first presentation where we heard from Helen, Karen, and John, I thought that Helen said an interesting thing there, because she talked about partnership, but then actually she went on and she talked a lot about relationships as well. And of course, we all know on this call that if you want good partnership, it's got to be about good relationships. And as John, I think, then went on to say that these relationships within Larbert, have been built up over a long period of time, and it's really important that schools start to build these relationships. But I also am a strong believer that we can speed up relationships, and we can speed up relationships by being able to tell good stories. So if some of the people that are on the call today, like if you've heard some of the examples that have been going on in Larbert, in Falkirk, and some of the examples that have been going on in Fife, if you're looking to sort of try and build up your relationships with your local college or your school college partnership, telling some of the stories that you've heard, I think, can be a really good stimulus for conversation to sort of try and bring these bits forward. The other thing that I thought was quite interesting is that Helen in her presentation talked about an extension of the senior phase offering, and I completely agree with that. But actually, I think Larbert, and indeed the example that we heard from Fife, it's beyond an extension. It's the integration, of the senior phase offering. And there was a really nice comment from one of the presenters from Fife, and I can't remember who it was. I didn't jot that down, but they were basically talking about, you know, courses are courses. It doesn't matter whether it's traditionally been called a college course or a school course around this. We're talking about young people here that are accessing the best learning where appropriate for them. Sometimes that's at the college, sometimes that's at the school, sometimes it's a combination of both. So taking it from the, you know, from the learner, I think is incredibly important. Really liked what John was saying in terms of redefining level 7 learning. I want to come back to that at the end when we're thinking about the new kind of curriculum reform. Really liked what Karen was saying about you know, targeting pupils. I think the best schools that we work with in terms of that senior phase journey are sitting down with all young parents, quite often with their parents and carers as well, to map out what that learning journey is going to be over that 1 year, 2 year and 3 year period. And of course, what that allows the schools to be able to do is to have conversations with people like Helen. And Helen said it herself, with enough notice, we can normally do it. And if you're working 2 or 3 years in ahead, that's enough notice. Where colleges, I think, struggle is that a school is short of a teacher and they pick up on their phone and say, can you help us out with the computer science teacher next week? And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about long-term strategic thinking to be able to join all of these things together in terms of cohorts of learners, you know, across the different bits of the school. Really liked all of the different references to the different qualifications. There was the present that Larbert mentioned this, but also Alan talked about NPAs, NCs, PDAs. Really like the focus on HNCs. We need to be doing more of that. That's still not prominent, I don't think, in enough schools across Scotland. We need to go back and revisit some of that learner journey documentation, which talked about level 7 qualifications and linking that to the college and to the higher education experience. You know, it's all possible there. I thought that was illustrated really well, both with the Larbert examples, but also, you know, with the examples of the HNC legal studies, you know, for those young people that then progress into university, but having that kind of blended school experience. And then I also liked what John was talking about in terms of how can we add extra value here. So rather than looking at the current courses that colleges offer and trying to retrofit that into the school curriculum, it was coming from the point of the learner, thinking about what do learners need around this, and then what have we got within that SCQF portfolio that we can deliver either individually with the college, or in kind of complete partnership. And all of this stuff, you know, I think is possible. And then if I was to sort of summarize, you know, two words that were coming through really strongly for me, one was about flexibility around that and the importance of both colleges and schools to be flexible about that. And I think where we see the best college schools partnerships are where we've got schools that are really flexible and they're taking the lead with that, and then the colleges come in with that degree of flexibility as well, you know, as a result. It's so important in terms of that relationship building. And the other word that came up a lot was difference. I heard different courses, different approaches to assessment, different relationships with college lecturers and how that can help young people, you know, and different offers and different courses. And I guess the challenge for us is how do we change that difference so that becomes the norm, you know, as part of that senior phase offer. And my two final comments, I think, really will be is that I think when we listen to these examples that we've heard this evening, we can see the great flexibility, you know, within the current Scottish system, where actually for schools that are being creative and they're working with colleges and they're working with industries, they're really delivering these purposeful opportunities for young people. And I think the challenge that we face at the moment is there's a lot of people that get the word flexibility confused with complexity. And they only see the complex nature of things and they get bogged down with that rather than thinking about, actually, do you know what? The reason it's complex is because it's flexible and therefore we can deliver, you know, what's needed on a very personal level for young people. And that's important, I think, in the spirit of the reform, because unless we tell more stories about this and how we're getting it right for individual learners all of the time, we are in desperate danger of reforming the wrong things when it comes to qualification and assessment sort of moving forward. And I think we need to be really careful there, which is why we need, you know, more powerful stories like this, you know, and more examples of the learner journey. So just a few thoughts from me there, Jim, but I'll certainly be going back and rewatching these videos and sharing them again with the wider team at Education Scotland.
Fantastic, Ollie. Thank you so much for that. As you said, a fantastic summary of an hour of discussion there, but also to end, I think, where we started about telling the story. And at national level, what we've gotten better at in the last year or two, hopefully, is about telling the story of the volume and quality. And as you said, the difference, the individual nature, the micro laser focused on individual learners, but also the difference between different parts of the country on how we do school-college partnership effectively. So I think that's a great place to end up. And a great summation of two fantastic sessions that we've had this evening. It's been whistle-stop tour. It's been brilliant. I'm just, before I hand over to Fiona and Donnie to finish, I'm going to say on behalf of the SCQF board, thank you to all of you for participating. And as I said earlier, a huge number of people and a huge amount of chat and question and back and forth and sharing of information as well. I don't think we've ever quite seen the chat used for so much sharing information, which is fantastic to see. Hope this is the first of many, but from my perspective, thanks very much for making sharing this very easy. Thanks to you, Fiona and Donnie, for organising it. Huge amount of work, and I'll hand over to both of you to finish off.
Thanks, Jim. I would just like to say again, thank you, Jim, for hosting and for all our schools and colleges for taking part. I think it's been a great event. We will put this video on the SCQF YouTube channel, but you will find other learner journey videos in the SCQF channel which will inspire you as well. And hopefully we'll see more of this in the future, and I'll pass you over to Donnie and have a wee look at Twitter and see. I've been trying my best to tweet out some of the bits and pieces that I hope you'll appreciate later. Thank you very much. I'll pass you over to Donnie.
Thanks, Fiona. Just a couple of words from me. I just wanted to thank everyone involved today. It's really inspiring, and it's fantastic to hear from schools and colleges working together and putting the SCQF at the heart of everything they do. So it's great. If you want to connect with me or Fiona, you can find our details on our webpage. We're active on Twitter, as you'll know probably. So please stay in touch.